He's the ROI whisperer with more metrics than a sales and marketing dashboard. It's Event About It with Joe Federbush. Hey everybody, welcome to Event About It. I'm your host, Megan Martin, and our guest this week has been to more trade shows than your average luggage set. He doesn't just talk ROX, ROO, or ROI, he lives it. He's the strategist brands call when they want their events to actually work. Welcome to the studio, Joe. So glad to have you here.
Thanks. Great to see you, Megan. Thanks for having me.
So glad. All right, we're going to jump right into it. And before we play some fun games, I want to throw this quote out. And I thought of you as soon as I heard it. So it comes from Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful. Again, I pulled this off the internet, so who knows if it's actually true or not. But we're going to believe that Kevin actually said this. So the quote is, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. Data beats emotion every single time. And in the world of events, we rely very heavily on emotions and how we feel and gut feelings, but then also need the data to kind of prove it because, what CEO is going to be like, well, that's great that you feel that way. So how do you balance the data with those gut feelings and the emotions?
Well, first of all, I have to say it's the perfect quote. I agree with it. And this is not planned. You're hitting me up with this quote serendipitously. And coincidentally, at EVOLIO, our tagline is feelings aren't facts. Because of literally like what he's saying. So many times we go into a meeting and executives or stakeholders or whomever, they're like, well, I feel like the event was dot, dot, dot. And feelings are important, gut feelings, gut checks, all that good stuff. But data is really what you want to make multi-million-dollar decisions from, or even $10,000 decisions from. So data should drive, decision making, but feelings are still important because, especially people who've been in the industry a while, they have that like kind of feeling of like, well, it feels like this, it feels like that compared to last year, compared to other shows we do, whatever the case may be. But data can't be argued when it's collected correctly, when it's analyzed correctly, and there's no ulterior motive to spin the data. So I have to agree with Kevin O'Leary.
I mean, he's Mr. Wonderful for a reason.
Exactly. So yeah, thanks for starting off with that.
Yeah, I think it's something also important that you just called out that I want to just highlight a little bit is data being collected correctly, being analyzed correctly. You can spin a narrative using any kind of data. You can have the data tell you whatever story you really want to tell it at the end of the day. So walk me through how you guys kind of approach the here is what the data is actually telling us and not changing the narrative based on basically finding and cherry picking the points to validate your feelings.
Yeah, no, I mean it's super important. Like anything, it starts off with goals and objectives. What are your challenges? What are your, pain points? And establishing those KPIs or key performance indicators right from the get-go. So going into the research with a real research plan, understanding what you're doing, why you're doing it, who do you want to get the feedback from? Is it qualitative? Is it quantitative? That's going to dictate the methodology. Is it like personal intercepts on site? Is it pre-post online? Is it focus groups, in-depth interviews? Are you talking to the right target audiences? I mean, it goes on and on and on.
Sure.
But all of those things are extremely, extremely important when you're going into any kind of research, as well as, I mean, those are the things that event marketers should be doing, understanding going into a show. Who's our target audience? How many of them are there? All those kinds of things. So when you get the data at the end, it's as bulletproof as it possibly can be, right? Because you went through the exercises of planning in advance versus, hey, let's just send out a survey monkey and see what we get, So
Yeah.
it really should be a methodical approach to measurement to make it as, strategic as and actionable as possible.
Oh, I love that. All right, well, let's jump into some fun games.
All
And
right.
today we're going to play Measure Up. We've all seen it, boosts with budgets, activations with ambitions, and C-suites demanding ROI. I'm going to toss out a few real-world event scenarios, and you have to give us one metric, just one, that you'd use to measure its success. Think of it as KPI speed dating.
I love it.
Okay, and then bonus points if you tell us what not to measure. So, like, what would you not even look at to make sure this was a success? A B2B startup has spent $50,000 to sponsor a breakout session at an industry conference.
If they're doing that, I'm guessing their objectives are twofold. One is obviously brand awareness because they're new. And the second one would be thought leadership to say, hey, we may be the new kid on the block, but we're not just a shiny new object. We're here to share our knowledge and wealth of information with you. So maybe you buy from us down the road, but at least we're educating and informing you in the meantime.
Okay, so what metric do they measure to make sure that their 50,000 was spent correctly?
The one metric I would measure would be like brand recall. Because if they're new, it doesn't matter what they're saying if no one recalls who said it.
And what's the easiest way to measure something like that? Because that seems such a like a big scope. Like, how do you put a number on that?
A couple of ways. One is if, let's say, they're using a social media approach, they could obviously look at their impressions and likes and comments and things like that. So are people seeing it from the impressions and are they acting upon it, because of the likes, the comments, et cetera, the sentiment.
I like it.
Another way could be just simply doing like a post-event survey and saying like, hey, what brand do you associate with dot, dot, dot? And if they come up, congratulations.
Ah, I love it. Okay, next scenario. A luxury brand hosts an invite-only dinner for C-level prospects. What's the one stat that justifies all the steak?
The quality of the attendees, not just the quantity, but just the quality. Like, so if our intent is we want these executives, decision makers, influencers there, look at your registration list, who actually checked it and showed up, what percentage of them said they were going to come and did come, and then I think you're golden.
And then do we also then look at which one of those closed from the dinner? Do we have an attribution post-event?
Oh, absolutely. I think any, event marketing activity should have that kind of like follow through of like who did what as a result of it, tying it in with your CRM, things like that.
And how frequently post-event should you measure that? Is it 30 days, 60 days, 6 months, 9 months? What's the frequency? Maybe all.
It could literally could be a combination of like what they think of us today and what do they think of us in 6 months, asking the same, like, say, sentiment type questions. But I think, when you're doing those high level dinners, things like that, you're really looking at ROR, return on relationship, because if they're invited, they're key customers or prospects, you want it to your point, Megan, it's like, you want to make sure that it's not always about sealing the deal, but it's about are they getting in the funnel as well.
Oh, I love that. All right, next scenario. A company launches a gamified booth experience. Now, these can get pricey in a hurry. What
Uh,
metrics do you use to justify the gamification?
to justify the gamification, I mean, participation is a good metric because we've seen, unfortunately, so many situations where companies spend a lot of money into doing something fun or interactive or gamification, and no one uses it because maybe it wasn't front and center or it wasn't staffed. There was no inviting people to come participate. So it's there, it looks good, but I don't know what to do about it.
You can't take
Leaderboard,
that if they build it, they will come. Like you've got to
exactly.
tell people what to do.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, you can't do it that way. And then things like a leaderboard or something to make it sticky where people want to come back and check out their ranking, things like that. If there's scoring involved, those are some of the easiest metrics that you don't have to invest a whole bunch of money into research to do.
Yeah, I love that. All right, this is one of my favorite ones because we get asked this all the time. The internal events team runs a global sales kickoff to align messaging and energize the team. How do you prove what KPI do you use to prove that sales kickoffs even work?
Yeah. So there's an ENPS, Employee Net Promoter Score. And this is a real thing. So after the event, you do it before event and after event, ask the ENPS question and see if there's lift or change from the NPS result before attending and then after attending. Because if the employees are more excited, they're more amped up, et cetera, as a result of attending, and they're actually believing and buying what everyone's saying at the conference, I think that's a true KPI. It's like that's one of those bulletproof ones for sure.
And would you then measure that maybe 6 months, end of the year, do it all again to see if the sentiment is still the same, I don't know, 8 months post kickoff? Because everybody feels good after sales kickoff. Like nobody walks away and be like, I made the wrong choice. I don't want to work here anymore. I mean, I don't know anyone who leaves a sales kickoff like, oh God, I gotta quit.
Yeah, right, exactly. I've seen some where they're leaving the event rolling their eyes,
I
say,
mean, sure.
yeah,
Like,
I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid, unfortunately. But most are very effective and successful. And I agree 100%. X number of months later, maybe 6 months later, to do a pulse on it again and see, like, and this is where it becomes really important too, to get that follow-up answer where people write in like, what is the reason for their rating? Because everything could be great, but what if the company's not following through with all the things that they promised the salespeople they'd be doing and getting 6 months down the road, new products, new tools, whatever it is to make them successful.
oh, love that. All right, last one. A company sponsors the lanyards and gets branding in every attendee selfie. What
Yeah,
metric do you use?
I would do recall. Like, so for sponsorships, there's actually a series of three survey questions that I think are like amazing for measuring the impact of sponsorships. So the first is, um, did they see it? So there's like awareness, number one. Number two is, do they recall who the sponsor was of the lanyard? And then number three would be like more like the ROI or business outcome side is, what impact did it have on driving, maybe booth traffic or whatever their objective was. So if they're not going to see it and they're not going to remember it, obviously the third step is they're not going to take any action as a result of it. So, but awareness is always a key one.
Agreed. I was actually just talking with a client not that long ago, and one of their biggest pain points from their event this week is they approved the lanyards, but then when they actually got printed, half of the name that was a different color than the front half of the name, you couldn't even read it. So you could only read like the first three letters of
Oh,
the company name on the lanyard.
oh, that is tough.
This episode of Event About It is sponsored by EventMe, the all-in-one event management software designed to take the stress out of event management. Planning events is tough. We all know budgets, sponsors, vendors, ticketing, just to name a few. It's enough to make you want to hide under a registration table. And that's why we love EventMe. They've put together a free event management resource hub packed with tools to make your job easier. Things like an ROI calculator to measure success, a budget planner to keep your numbers in check, and sponsor templates that actually land deals. It's basically your event planning survival kit. And here's the best part. Event About It listeners get a special offer. $500 off the EventMe Pro package. Just check the show notes for the link. And no, this deal is limited time offer, so don't wait to take your event to the next level and start controlling the chaos. Stop stressing and start planning smarter today with EventMe. We're going to
Yeah,
get into my favorite segment of the podcast. It's time for the vent of the week. It's your favorite therapy session. This is where you let it all out. Vent fails, unexpected chaos. Are you kidding me? Moments, no filter, no sugarcoating. So I want to know what's one event trend you wish would quietly pack up and leave for 2025? Like, what is going on that you don't want to see again?
there's more than one. But let's start
You
with
can
one.
say more than one, but like you just came back from a conference. Like, what happened there that you were like, I hope no one ever does this again? I'm so tired of seeing it.
Yeah. So one is, I think, when the organizer of the event gets so hung up on the numbers, right? The attendance numbers versus the attendee quality. Yeah, this so like, oh, we had 10,000 attendees this year. Like, so what? I want to know, like, were 70% of them decision makers, influencers, were they my target audience, things like that. Another thing that drives me up a wall with events is when they're not sharing enough of the right information. So there was an event recently that I was trying to go to, and I see this a lot. And I'm on the website, and like registering is easy, like, yeah, big registration button, but I couldn't find the dates and I couldn't find the specific location of the event. It said it was in, like, say, San Jose, California. So, but where? In a hotel at the convention center? So it's like this making friction, trying to, like, if you want people to attend, make it frictionless to get them to attend and register and get the information they need. When and where the shuttle bus is coming and picking me up if it's like a bigger city like Vegas. Does my hotel have a shuttle bus? So there's things like that. Then when you get on site, of course, like signage, navigation. Can you find what you need to, like, register to show up? things like that. And that's like you're not really even experiencing the event yet. You're just trying to get to the event and make it a positive experience for yourself.
I
Um,
think that's a great point because so many planners think about the on-site experience, but they forget that their first interaction is like on that web page, on the social post. Like the event experience starts way, way, way before anyone actually ever steps foot in your event venue.
yeah. And like, what are the hours? That's another one.
Oh
Like,
God, yeah, the
yeah,
hours.
do I need to be there at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m.? Like things like that. So yeah, just make it as frictionless as possible. And I see this unfortunately all too often. So it's not like a one-off thing.
Yes, sometimes more information is more when it comes to like helping people even figure out where they're supposed to be, where to go, when to be there. Like if it starts on Sunday, is that 3 o'clock, 8 o'clock? Like when do I actually need to show up? Totally
Mhm.
feel your vent on that. All right, last up for the podcast. Let's event about it. The part of the show where you get to spill the tea on a memorable event moment, a huge success, a total disaster, or just pure chaos. You've been going to shows for a really long time. I think you wrote even in your brief that you've been going to shows since you had a fake ID, which made me laugh very hard.
Which was a
So
long time ago.
it was a long time ago. You've been to so many shows. I mean, I would venture to say you've probably been to dozens of shows already this year. So you've
Yeah.
got to have some stories. Spill the tea on one of the craziest moments you've experienced.
All right. So let's start off with one that was unfortunate. Let's start off with the bad before the good.
Okay.
Because this is actually like serious and unfortunate, but we all have to be prepared for it, safety and security.
Well,
It
that's the whole point of the podcast. We tell the crazy stories because we learn from the disasters just as much as we learn from the successes. And we don't talk enough about the disasters to learn from them.
right. And this is this could be serious. So what happened was pretty big show. This was in Anaheim and a couple of years ago, and there was a very loud bang on the show floor. So that it's a Anaheim Convention Center is like long and
Yeah.
it's wide. So if you're at one end of the hall, you don't necessarily have a clue what's going on at the other end of the hall. The end of the hall that I was on, there was a very loud bang. People thought it was an active shooter situation on the show floor.
Oh no.
Yeah, like total like this could be bad. What was really unfortunate was the way that the attendees reacted. It was it was like a Seinfeld moment of like George Costanza, running through the retirement home and pushing the old ladies out of the way. It was unfortunately like that. I mean, these professionals, I'm not going to say what show or what industry,
Sure.
but it was basically like everyone running out the door, thousands and thousands and thousands of people all at once, and literally pushing people out of the way to get out of the exhibit hall.
Wow.
So, yeah, that
That's
was
chaos. That's pure chaos.
pure chaos. Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's something that God forbid it ever really happens. Let's hope not.
sure.
But the thing is, I think like just that education and information so that people know what to do and how to do it. And I've actually been at events where they have had active shooter training for the exhibit staff and stuff before the show even opens. So again, hope it's one of those things we never need, but that was one of the craziest situations that I've experienced recently.
Well, did you ever find out what was the actual source of the bang? I mean, obviously wasn't an active shooter, so like what happened?
It was the last day of the show. It wasn't like closing yet, but people were starting to move out and like, the GCs were starting to do their thing of whatever. And basically it was just a very loud piece of equipment got knocked over or something. That's what I heard. I don't know what really happened, but it was something that was substantial enough to make such a loud bang that people started running.
I mean, I when you said that, I was like, oh, the forklift probably dropped a pallet of something. Like that was my first thought.
Yeah, but it was during show hours, so like something happened that hopefully that should not have happened.
Sure.
But,
So, what would be your piece of advice for our listeners thinking about like doing a training on the show floor? What about like when I speak, I always try to point out emergency exits before we get into the session. What kind of advice would you have for show organizers to give their attendees, exhibitors, whoever's working the show?
yeah, and a lot of time this information does exist on how to handle these kinds of emergency situations, just buried. Like you
Yeah.
can't find it if you had to. Because like, you have to think of it too of like, well, what if someone did get hurt? who do you call? Where do you go? Who do you contact? Like you can't
Yeah.
like call 911 from the middle of a trade show floor.
Which
But
most of the time you don't even have service. Like a
yeah,
lot of
they're
times
done.
you're underground too, depending on where you are.
Yeah. So I think it's just something that like instead of burying this information, because a lot of the time, like I said, it does exist. Instead of burying it, it's something that maybe needs to just be the headline, the link to take you to information in the mobile app, front and center, on like when you get your email confirmation with your, QR code or something to pick up your badge. Just something that so people see it in advance and they don't have to look for it. God forbid they should need to look for it.
Yeah.
So.
I love that
And I think,
advice.
yeah, and I think like a lot of time it's the organizers can only do so much. I think exhibitors also need to do their own kind of like training and practice, like contact, is there like a WhatsApp group or a group text so everyone that's working the booth knows that, like the exhibit manager starts it. And so that way, if something does happen, you're all in that group text. Hey, everything's okay, false alarm, or, you know, could go the other way. Hey, so and so is hurt. They need to get to the hospital. They're not going to be at booth duty in the morning. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
something.
So,
Awesome. Well, that's great learning advice. I don't want to end on a scary situation. So let's talk about a fun one, like a huge success, something crazy that happened that maybe nobody got hurt or there were no
yeah,
potential active shooters.
yeah, no more Debbie Downer, Joe. Um, this is, and I'll give the name of it since it's good news, but like one of my favorite shows to go to that I learned so much from, despite all the events I go to, and so many professional events and just well orchestrated events. But one of the best ones that I go to every year is CattleCon. And I know people crack up at this.
Oh, it's one of my favorite shows too. They have the best
Yay!
team. I love them. And a little fun fact, I don't know if a lot of people, I almost went to work for NCBA at one point in my career. It wasn't the right time, right place, so we didn't end up doing it. But oh my gosh, Kristen Torres, shout out to my
Yes.
girl, love her. What they did during COVID was some of my favorite stories. Like I also love CattleCon.
Oh, that's so funny. No one
Yeah,
knows this show. I love it.
I love CattleCon. So
Um,
tell us a good story from the cattle show.
so there's so many, but like from that show alone, but like they just pour their heart out to make their attendees and exhibitors as happy as possible. And I know a lot of associations or shows do that as well. Like, I mean, everyone wants to create an amazing experience, but like they really do things. They have so much like concierge and so many services so that people can get what they need, but the fun stuff, like they, for lack of a better term, let's just call it a party. They have a party, 2 of the 3 nights of the show, I think, and they almost like compete internally of like which event's going to be better. And it's not about, just making a fun event, which it is always fun. And they really rent out the best places and they, try to bring it. They really make it about like the city that it's in because it changes cities every year. But they just really create like memorable, enjoyable experiences for their attendees and build lots of like apps and tools and things to build those connections between attendees and exhibitors. Now, like anything, in this case, a cow to water, you can't bring, bring a horse to water and make it drink, but
Sure.
they provide all the tools and the experiences necessary to make it happen. Now, another thing is they actually have cattle on the show floor, which is so cool. And the first time I went to that show, and I've been going many, many years, they had like sliders everywhere, like little burgers, like everywhere on the show floor. So if you do like meat, it is a really good show
For sure. For
to
sure.
see it from a live cattle to consumption.
I I think the one thing I also took away from this team is exactly what you said. Like they do a very, very good job of getting to the why people show up to the show and providing those concierge and really driving messaging and experience and intentional serendipitous moments
Mhm.
for attendees to connect with exhibitors, sponsors, other attendees. They really understand their audience and deliver every single year exactly what people are looking for. And that's why their retention is some of the best in the industry because, man, talk about an association that understands their market.
Yeah, yeah, and it's niche, you know,
It
and
is,
and it's hard to get people to leave their place to get to a show because a lot of the time these are family-run businesses, and so they make it worth the time and money to attend, and and then from a feelings aren't facts standpoint, from the data standpoint, because we
Sure.
measure the event every year. Um, when there are situations where things like can be improved, they really use the data to improve upon it. So rather than, just saying, oh, whatever, like they really like are constantly like raising the bar. And their bar is really high. I mean, from a data standpoint. And there's plenty of other shows that do that as well. I'm not, but I think they go above and beyond. And they, again, from a data standpoint, they have some of the highest metrics scores
They
from
do.
hundreds and hundreds of shows that we've measured, so they're consistent, but they
Yeah.
really care, and they don't take it for granted. And I think if anything, that's just like, a case study or a use case for any organizer, whether it's a corporate event or an association industry event, to remember that and think about that. The voice of the visitor, the voice of the attendee is so key, versus saying like, I feel it was a good show this year. Back to
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Well, tell us where our listeners can find Joe. Where can we engage with you, connect with you, and Evolio?
So yeah, I'm at a lot of shows. So you text me, find me, hit me up, DM me. But really I think a lot of it is, our website, evolio.co. And there's also evoliomarketing.com. Same things. Evoliomarketing.com is so long. So evolio.com was taken. So we have evolio.co. Of course, reach out to me there on social media. Instagram is evolio underscore marketing.com. I mean, underscore marketing, no.com. But yeah, I think it's just left Experiential Marketing Summit, just left Exhibitor Live, got to see everything and see everyone, see what's new, what's coming down the pike, see how AI is influencing our industry, which is obviously very important, like every industry where
Yeah.
AI is going and how to incorporate it. Um, Upcoming shows, it's funny, I've literally been on a tear for the last 3 months. I mean, it's been a busy year. I'm trying to chill and take a break from going to so many shows over the next few months and focus on the business a little bit more.
I love it.
But
Well, we'll find you online. We'll
you'll
follow you
find me
on
for sure.
Instagram. We'll follow you on LinkedIn, and we'll get
Yeah,
all the insights from your Q1 shows that you've been hustling to.
awesome.
Awesome. Well, that's all the time we have today, folks. Thanks for joining another episode of Event About It, where we turn event mishaps into marketing gold. If you enjoyed the chaos, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this with somebody who just needs a laugh. And don't forget to head over to eventaboutitpodcast.com to send us your events and stories to be featured on future episodes, and join the Squared Squad, where you get access to bonus content, engage with episode guests, and catch the dynamic dialogue after show where Joe and I are going to talk about balancing data with emotions, getting executive buy-in, and what parts of event strategy still need a human touch in this AI world. And until next time, keep growing, keep laughing, and definitely keep eventing about it.